just said something. You just said off camera, the man, the myth, the legend. That's you, brother.
No, stop.
Michigan State, 2 Final Fours. I got Delvon Roe on with me. This young man played in 2 Final Fours at Michigan State. Hey, tribute to Magic Johnson right here.
Now that's Spartan. The man right there. That's the legend.
Well, a Spartan from Michigan State. Yep. So, Delvon, great to have you on. We want to talk about today, again, this podcast is really featuring conversation about the state of youth sports in 2025. You know, where are we? You're a high school basketball coach. Your playing career is over, right?
Unfortunately, it's over. Long gone.
But you're a coach now. So just tell us just right from the start, what's it been like for you making the transition from being a Division I player to now coaching high school players?
Honestly, it's been a crazy transition because as a player, you control your environment, right? You feel like you can control the outcome. You know, like you need a play to be made, you feel like you can go out there and do it, right? And then when you get into coaching, you know, I remember when I first got into coaching, you know, I would look at the opponent in warm-ups and be like, oh, we're about to kill this team.
Right.
You know, we're about to kill this team. And it's not because their team is not that good, it's you think you're going to go out there and play in the game.
Right. Right.
And you're not.
And you're not
playing. So you know, you think your players are not going to be nervous. Your players are not going to come out there tentative. They're going to come out there and, you know, be aggressive from the start. And sometimes that's not always the case, you know. And you start to realize early on as a coach is you don't control the environment. You don't control the outcome. All you can do is just put your players in the best position. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do, and I know, you know, being a college football player, former college football player, I don't coach football. And people always ask, why don't you coach football? Because I want to play for them, or I want them to play how I play.
Exactly.
And that's not fair.
No.
And that's just not fair because everyone's an individual. They're going to play the way they're going to play. But before we, you know, get into all the youth stuff, you know, tell us what it was like playing for Tom Izzo, Michigan State, fiery coach. He's a fiery coach.
Oh, yeah.
What was that experience like, and how did you take maybe some of his fire, if you will, and bring that into your own coaching style?
Good question. As you know, like you said, very fiery coach, but he's a player coach, right? He builds relationships with you before you see that side of him, right? Yeah. Everybody always sees that side of him where he's in the player's face and he's challenging them, but they don't see him inviting you to his house, right? They don't see the time that he spent with you in the locker room or in his office and just getting to know you, the person. So, you know, when you have a coach that pours into you, the person, you know, you feel like you're going to do everything you can for that coach. And you're not going to try to disappoint him, and you're going to go over any hurdle to do whatever is necessary for your team to win. Yeah. So he's that type of coach. He is fiery. He's going to test you. But he's going to build a relationship with you first, and I don't think people always see that side of him.
Well, speaking of fiery, wasn't Draymond Green one of your teammates?
Oh, yeah.
Fiery. There we go. Fiery. No, that's great. That's great. So for you, you know, yes, we know Coach Izzo's fiery, but as you said, he's a very caring man, and people don't see what's behind maybe some of that passion. What's your coaching style?
I think for me is I like to build a relationship with the player first, but then also challenge them. You know, continue to push them in ways that they might not see the potential in themselves. But, you know, my job is to be that role model, I feel, for all of my players, but also just be someone that they can count on, and that's going to tell them the truth. Because we live in a world and society now, people don't always tell you the truth.
That's right.
They always want to just sugarcoat things. They want to tell you what you want to hear. And I always told myself when I got into coaching that I was going to be a coach who was going to tell players the truth. No matter if they want to hear it or not, it's going to be the truth of how I perceive whatever it is that they're not doing or they are doing. And not only that is that I was going to be a player that's going to care for them more than just basketball, care for them, the person. So with all of my players, I always let them know that I'm always here for them, no matter if we're playing basketball or we're not, you know, because basketball is not who you are, it's what you do.
But you're talking about telling the truth. And sometimes the truth can be hard to hear.
Yeah.
And you know, again, former Division I player. Well, nowadays, society that we live in, when you play a sport, most of the time kids say, well, I want to play D1. I'm going to be D1.
Yeah.
How do you break that truth to a player who maybe is not at that D1 level?
That is a fine line. It's a fine line, but I think it's okay for them to have a dream, to chase something.
Sure.
It's okay. You don't want to, shut a kid's dreams and hopes down. It's okay for them to aspire to get to that point. That's all. That's always something that you want to do, is aspire to be the best at whatever field you're chasing. And if you don't get there, at least you had an experience that you can tell people that, I did everything I could to chase my dreams, and I fell a little short. But for me as a coach, I'm never going to tell a player they're not a D1 player. I might say it differently. I might say, D1 is great. D1 is great, but nothing's wrong with going D2. Nothing's wrong with just going to an NIA school and playing JUCO. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with those routes. Everybody's route is different.
Yeah.
And just to have blind faith. And your job as a player is just to be ready. Just to be ready. Don't worry about D1. Don't worry about D2. Whatever opportunity comes, you look at it and you see if that's a good fit for you. Yeah. And don't look at, is it D1, is it JUCO? First, is it a good fit for you? Are you getting an education? And are you continuing to play the game that you love?
Well, there you go. And I think a lot of that starts with the parents.
Absolutely.
Parents need to be educated on, if your son or daughter doesn't make it to a Division I school, it doesn't mean they're a failure.
No.
It doesn't mean that they're not a terrific athlete. It's a numbers game.
100%.
How many guys were on your roster when you were at Michigan State? 15, 12? Yeah. Okay, so 15 guys on a basketball roster.
One guy.
Right. How many kids are playing basketball, not only in our country, but now recruitment is happening around the world. Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you're a failure.
No.
And so often, I know you hear, but I hear as well, oh, wow, my child didn't go D1. It's like, okay. But you said something very key, and that is we can't identify someone by the sport that they play. They are a human being first. The sport, being basketball, is just what they do. Yeah. And so let's support that 100%. You always say, what's a saying that you have? Hard work beats talent.
Yeah, when talent doesn't work hard.
There's your saying.
100%.
So just go out and give it your all.
Yeah.
And if you make it to that D1 level, great. Yeah. If you don't, you go D2, D3, NAIA, good for you. Yeah. If you stop playing, it's okay.
That's fine. And that's okay if you fall out of love with it.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And just like you said, it comes down to the parent. And, one thing that I've always preached is, I don't just recruit the player, I recruit the parent. Because it's a partnership with both of them. If the parent is thinking that their son is a D1 player and you're recruiting this kid, it's like, no, that's not where we're going to be with him.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we have different views. We have different alignments. That this might not be a good fit. Yeah. Or my kid should score the ball every time he touches it. He's he's the next Kobe Bryant. Everybody sees their kid as the next the great thing. And sometimes it's okay to be a parent that says, just have fun. Just let my kid have fun. I just want my kid to get better. I just want my kid to, have a great experience.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the parents that you want to be around. And obviously, you want to win. You want a kid to get to the next level. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure the parent and player has the same alignment as far as beliefs.
Absolutely. I know you coach travel ball. AAU's out there. I'm sure when you were a youngster coming up through the ranks, you played AAU.
Yeah.
What would you say is the difference between an AAU travel team versus a high school varsity team?
It would be in AAU, it's just games. No games don't matter. It's just about how many games we're going to play this week, and what is my stats at the end of the week. Yeah. In high school, it's more about we're chasing an end game, an end goal. We're chasing trying to get to playoffs. We're chasing trying to win a conference championship or make a CIF run. But in AAU, it's just like, all right, we're in Vegas for the weekend. We got 4 games today, and we got 4 games tomorrow. Yep. And next week we're going to Texas. It's like, all right, that's all it is, just games. They're not chasing anything.
But do you feel, as a coach, you mentioned about high school coaching and how you want to be that mentor, that role model, coaching education-based athletics. Do you feel with travel you're able to do the same thing, the same way? Or do you see yourself maybe wearing 2 different hats? Like, as a high school coach, this is the hat I wear. Mm-hmm. But as a travel team coach, like you're saying, it's just games. Yeah. Do you have a different hat on?
Yeah. No. Not with me. That's not my approach. I think you have to approach basketball the same way every single time to develop good habits. Because if you treat it differently, then you're going to treat things differently. You're going to be inconsistent with your habits. So some games you might play hard based off of who you're playing or what you perceive to be a game that's important. I am old school, so I believe every time you step on that floor, you should play the game a certain way. No matter who you're playing against, no matter how many games you play that day,
Right.
You should play the game a certain way and how you handle yourself. So, that was my envision when I started, coaching travel ball, was to create an environment where those players don't lose good habits.
Right.
And they don't go and play on their AAU team and just play game and not worry about their habits that they're developing, and more so just carry about how many points they scored or how many games they're playing. So, when we travel, we just try to focus on, every game we're going to treat it like it's a high school game. We're going to treat it as if we're preparing to get ready for college. We're going to treat it as if someone is watching us and they're scouting us, and we have to make an impression because this might be the last time they see us play.
Yeah.
So we treat it as if every game matters, and opposed to just saying, oh, I got another game tomorrow, or I got another game at 9 p.m. You know what I mean? So we just try to change our thinking and our approach.
Huh. That's interesting. Interesting. So relationships, again, high school, you have more access to your players because you see them 5 days a week or whatever it may be. Same with the parents. So what is your philosophy with your parents, both travel and high school, to keep things in perspective? Because you see it the same way I do. Every weekend there's a disruption, a fight, a this, a that.
Yeah.
So how do you keep your philosophy with your parents to keep them understanding that this isn't the end all be all?
Yeah, I think it's just communication with them, and then just explaining what it is you're in it for, and it's to teach them real life situations, real life scenarios where you didn't get the call in a game. Okay, you might not get the call in real life when you have a job and your boss tells you to do something, right? Let's just teach them life lessons.
That is old school. That's old school thinking.
Yeah, that's the way I was brought up.
That's what. Yeah, that's old school thinking.
It's just the way you think. The way you approach situations. A parent might say that the ref was showing favoritism, and then I would say, well, that's politics. That's life. It happens in life all the time. People show favoritism all the time. What do you do when that happens? How do you deal with it? Yeah. So every situation that we're in is going to teach you something about what you really go through in the everyday scenario in your real world life.
But see, that's life's lessons. You sounding like you have a foundation of teaching life's lessons versus the win. Of course, we all want to win.
100%.
Of course, we all want to win. That's the objective, is to win. But once the winning goes beyond teaching life's lessons, I feel we're in trouble.
Yeah, and that's why I say you're never losing, you're learning.
Yeah.
You're never losing a situation, you're learning from every situation you're in.
Yeah.
So it's just the way you're thinking. Yes, we want to win, but even when you lose, you're not losing. Don't think of it that way. You learn from that experience.
And again, I just keep going back to, how do you, I don't want to use the word preach, but how do you preach that to your players, your families? Because we live in a results-based society right now. And so, you're not winning. Let's say you're not winning, or you're on a 5-game losing streak or whatever it may be. Yeah. How do you keep them engaged?
Yeah, I think you continue to make it about real life situations. When you get knocked down, you got to get back up. Real world situations, no one's going to feel sorry for you. And I tell our players, no one's going to feel sorry for us that we're losing. No one's going to feel sorry for us. Yeah. We have either two options. Either we feel sorry for ourselves or we fix it. We get to work. And you have to either have that mindset, because that's how you got to approach life. Yeah. When you go through moments in your life where things get hard and things get difficult, because those moments are going to come. What are you going to do when those situations happen? Are you going to complain and say, I quit, I'm done? Or are you going to keep working and keep trying to do the things that you need to do to get to where you're trying to go? Sure. And then I'm just big off of it's a process. Processes versus being result-oriented. If you're doing your processes and you're doing the things the right way, you might be coming up short. As long as you're doing things the right way, you got to trust that the results are going to come, opposed to being the opposite and just basing everything off of the result. So it's just the way you have to look at things.
I love that. I love that from the coaching standpoint. Now we're going to switch gears we're going to switch gears here because you're a parent.
Yeah.
And you have a daughter who is pretty phenomenal right now. What is she, 14, 15?
Yes, 14.
And she's pretty phenomenal. So, as dad, when you go to her games,
Coach,
what is it like
It's tough.
when you go to her games and you're now dad, but you're still a coach,
It's tough.
but you're dad and
It's
you're
tough.
sitting there. So you keep saying it's tough.
It's tough.
So give us a little bit.
Tough.
What's tough?
The tough part is the coaching part of it, because you're a coach and you think things should be done certain ways at times as coaches, right? But you don't want to voice those opinions. You want your daughter, your child to just play and learn from their coach. But it's like the coach isn't telling them the things that you might think they should be telling them, right? So that's the hard part at times, and you're like, am I that parent that's going to go to the coach and tell the coach what the coach should be doing?
I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
You know, are you that parent that goes to that coach, or you don't?
I do.
You do?
I go to the coach, but we talk basketball. So I'm talking basketball with the coach. Like, hey, coach, I saw they went zone on you guys. What was
Okay, so you're not saying.
I'm not saying like my daughter should have got the ball.
Okay.
But I am kind of saying it because I want to get their philosophy about, why didn't you put my daughter in the paint and she's the tallest player and they're trapping you? When you want your tallest player to come to the ball? And I'm just asking the question, what is your philosophy when you're getting trapped?
Yeah.
Oh, I want my big to stay away from the ball. Oh, okay. So, it's just trying to understand their philosophy is the way I look at it, opposed to badgering the coach and getting on them. I'm trying to understand.
I'm trying to understand
Yes.
why my daughter's not in the paint. Okay, so that's great. But what if now you're back in your coach's role and that parent comes to you and says, coach, maybe you should have had Johnny in the post.
See, with me, I'm very approachable.
Okay.
I am very approachable with all my parents. Right? At the end of every season, I sit down with every parent and I talk to them about how the season went. Yeah. I ask them, what are some things that you thought went well? What are some things that you didn't like? And I'm open to that discussion. I think we should be able to live in a society where somebody should be able to come up to us. Unfortunately, we don't anymore. Yeah. But live in a society where somebody should be able to come up to you and ask you, what were you thinking in that moment regarding something? You should be able to give an answer and not feel so defensive about someone questioning you about your decision. You should be able to own up to whatever decision that you made and give a reason of why you did whatever you did in that moment. But when it comes to maybe why my son didn't get the ball to score, those are philosophy things and situations where you don't have to always answer those type of questions. But you can also always sit down with the parent and talk about, these are some things that your son didn't do in the game, right? Right. This is why he didn't get the ball in this situation because, when I see him in practice, he doesn't do very well in these situations, right? So I can give an answer, but I don't take offense to a parent coming up to me and asking me, why didn't you play Johnny the last 5 minutes of the game? Why didn't play Johnny the last 5 minutes of the game? Because he don't shoot free throws very well. You see him in practice, he don't make free throws very well, or he struggles turning the ball over, or in the huddle, Johnny had bad body language. Yeah. So I don't mind giving those answers to a parent and not feeling defensive about it.
Yeah, but do you think some of that comes from your background as a player? Because you know the game.
Yeah,
you understand the game. You know the game. You've been coaching now, for years as a high school coach, and so. You're right. We should be able to have those conversations. I think sometimes there's conversation breakdown when maybe the coach doesn't feel confident what they're doing.
True.
Maybe they're feeling as though, hey, this parent is catching me in some way. Or even the parent not feeling confident about their child. Yeah. Because I think sometimes when a parent knows, hey, my son or daughter's a pretty good ball player. They're a pretty good ball player. And there's nothing wrong with conversation, but they're not going to question you on, why don't you have my son playing the point guard? Right. He's the tallest player on the team. He's 6'6", but he should be playing the point guard. It's like, maybe not. Right. Let me coach my team. So, but I think that's great. So your daughter, okay? Like I said, I've read about her. She's doing great. Do you think that or have you guys had any conversation about her having to live up to her dad's expectations because her dad was,
Yeah.
you were one of the top recruits in the country when you were a high school player. Do you think she feels any of that pressure?
She feels it.
Yeah?
She feels it. But we try to let her know that, it comes with the territory, honestly. It comes with it. But don't think that we're going to judge you based off of it.
Yeah.
Right? You're your own person. Just know that, your mom and dad, they were pretty good when they played. And, people are going to compare you to them at times, but don't think that that's going to make you less than.
Yeah.
Don't think that you have to live up to those expectations. But she likes to let us hear it, though. I'm gonna be the scoring champion.
Oh,
at
wow.
the school that
Wow.
she's at, because her mother went to that school. She's at Trinity in Chicago, so her mom went to that school. So she's trying to beat her mom's records,
Which I think is great. That's a great goal. And I know you. I know you're not putting pressure on her to be your dad or be like me or be like your mom. I know you're not doing that. But kids are going to feel that pressure.
Yeah, they do.
Regardless. We've been seeing it in the NBA with LeBron and with Bronny, and it's unfair.
Yeah.
It's really, in my opinion, it is unfair because Bronny is not LeBron. Bronny can only be the best that he can be. Bryce can only be the best that he can be. And you shouldn't put kids in that kind of shadow. You shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't. It's tough.
It's tough. It's tough enough.
It's not fair.
It is not fair. And it's tough enough being a high school athlete.
Yeah.
When those kids, when Bronny and Bryce were in high school, just to be a high school kid is hard enough.
Yeah.
For your daughter, she's in ninth grade or going into ninth grade.
Now. Yeah.
To be a ninth grade student, there's already, as we know, so much going on in a high school as a ninth grader. And now I've got to worry about pressures from mom and dad. You've got to be like me. So it's great that you're not putting that kind of pressure, but it's good for her to have those goals.
100%.
Yeah.
It's always good to strive for something and try to beat something that has been very unachievable at certain levels in high school, at the schools that we were at. And it's good to just have goals and chase those. So good luck to her.
Yeah, good luck to her. We'll be watching her. Maybe she can get in a couple Final Fours like you did.
I hope so.
Yeah. Hey, the other thing that has really, really been on my mind is just sportsmanship. Because, again, doing this podcast, we just wanted to have people think.
Yeah.
Have people think, is it me? Am I that parent in the stands who's berating a referee or berating the coach or other players? There was something I was thinking about, how we shake hands at the end of a game. And if you just blow somebody out by 60, you see a lot of the friction happening at the end of games, especially in football.
Yeah.
But basketball as well, going through the lines. What do you think about that? Should we maybe do that at the beginning of a game?
No, coach.
No?
No, coach.
Why
should
not?
do it at the end, like that's sportsmanship. You shake somebody's hand and you tell them good game, and you give them a little bit of encouragement. It's okay to say, keep your head up. You guys play hard.
Yeah.
Better luck next time. Hey, you guys got a good group of guys. Just keep your head up. A tough night tonight. It's okay to do that. We get into a world and environment where we're trying to always be protectors and protect everything and make everything so soft and sugarcoat everything. We can't do that. We have to be able to address things and face things. And who does that help? Does it help the people that lost? Why are we're mad because how they feel? Or are we mad because of the people who win, that they don't know how to act accordingly and act like they've been there before? Who are we trying to protect in that moment?
Well, I think when you get blown out by 60, there's going to be hard feelings from that team that lost. And I'm with you. We can't sugarcoat it. I'm from the old school. I'm old school just like you. But we're just seeing more and more and more. We saw the other day in the news where a Little League baseball coach was going through the handshake line and didn't like something that the kid did and elbowed him in the chest.
Wow. Yeah.
A 10-year-old kid, an adult, elbowing a kid. That's what I'm saying. I mean, do we go in the direction of not handshaking so that we can protect people? Or if we stay in what you would like to do, what I would like to do, shaking hands after a game, well, how do we get people to conform? because we're losing it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're losing it. The sportsmanship is terrible
Yeah.
around the country when it comes to fighting,
Yeah.
assaults at games, shootings at games.
I think you gotta have a zero policy or a no tolerance policy. You know, one mistake like that, when you put your hands on someone, you are now not allowed to play or participate in any more little league events or come to any little league events like you would at a professional event. You put your hand on a professional athlete, they ban you from all games indefinitely. Why can't you do the same thing at the lower levels? I don't understand that, or at the minor leagues or the rec league levels. Why can't you do that? I feel like that should be able to be done in the world we live in now with technology and everything that we have now, and you should be able to get that done.
Yeah. But
that's the way you can go. Maybe that's the way we go,
Well, I would agree. But I think the world that we live in with technology on social media, kids, parents, adults, whomever, are seeing bad behavior.
Yeah.
And we don't necessarily see or hear about the consequences, so they do it as well.
Yeah.
Or I hear, I've heard at basketball games before, I can boo, yell, cuss, scream at referees because I go to the Laker games or I go to the, and we yell and scream at those games. Well, there's a big difference.
Yeah, big difference.
There's a big difference, a 14-year-old at the free throw line versus an experienced veteran in the NBA.
Yeah.
But it's worrisome to me.
It is.
It's worrisome.
It
And
is.
again,
it is.
This podcast is just to talk, just to get conversation going. So hopefully, like what you and I are talking about here about handshaking and sportsmanship, maybe people go home and talk about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, my son and I were talking about, because he's a Muay Thai guy, and he was saying that like in combat, in battles, that they, after a match, will get on their knees and bow to one another out of a sign of sportsmanship. Now, that's an individual sport, but why is it that can happen there where guys are beating the heck out of one another?
Yeah.
But yet in a basketball game or football game or whatever it may be, soccer game, which it's hard to shake hands after a game nowadays.
Yeah. We don't teach character anymore. That's the problem. We don't teach that.
Because we want to win.
Yeah.
Results based. Winning, scoreboard winning, takes precedence over teaching character and sportsmanship. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing more and more and more. It's not about the lessons that you learn. It's not always what's on the scoreboard at the end of a game that says who's the winner. Because you can go win a game by 50, but if you trash the other team's locker room, how did you win?
Exactly.
So then how do we teach character overall? You can teach it to your team, but how do we teach it to that opposing team?
I think you have to walk the walk. It's the only way you can teach it. You have to be an example. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't say it and then your actions don't match it. So the only way you can teach it is by showing it through your actions. So when you make a 3-pointer, you don't have to do what the kids do. I think they do this now.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You just run back on defense. How about that? You score or you make a good play. You celebrate with your teammates. You don't have to look at the other opponent's bench.
Yep.
Right? Little things like that. Maybe before the game you shake the ref's hand before the game, before they give you a bad call.
Yeah.
You just introduce yourself. It's one thing I have our players do. We just shake the ref's hand.
But isn't that being countercultural? Because you can teach that, but when the kids go on and they see the threes and they see the three that the college players are doing or whomever, maybe their travel team is doing it, their AAU team, so it puts you in a tough position.
100%, and that's why if you can get more people that's doing the same thing, then no matter if you see it or not, right? We see gun violence, but we know it's wrong. Right, because majority of people aren't doing that. Right. So if we get the majority of the people to do the right thing and to play the right way, then hopefully we can encourage the people that's doing the wrong thing to jump on board and start doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But it's a long road.
It's a long road, but again, we need to start talking about it now.
Yeah.
And we need to try. The word is try. All we can do is try.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you being on this podcast because hopefully this is helping Others listen and understand. All we can do is try. But it is tough. And so you have conference league meetings that you go to with the other coaches. Would you feel comfortable speaking up at a league meeting and saying, hey guys, the sportsmanship this year wasn't real good in our league?
Yeah.
You know, can we all band together, the 6 of us, 7 of us in this conference, can we band together to say we want to do better?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. No problem doing that at all. Especially I've been in this league long enough now. I feel like my voice would be heard in that sense of, you know, you're not the new guy. Who are you to come here and try to change things? But as more of let's all be on the same team, and we all know that in this game of basketball we can teach life lessons. Yeah. So, you know, that's what it's about, and let's all use this platform that we're on to inspire others to just be better in all areas, not just in basketball, but how they treat each other, win or lose.
That's the key. You know, the key is speaking up, because I know that, and I've been in a lot of meetings with coaches, athletic directors, where they may feel the same way. If I speak out on something, they may feel that same way, but they don't speak up. And they'll say later, hey, thank you for saying that. I wanted to say that. It's going to take more of us to get together to say, yeah, you were right, you were right, you were right, you were right, to change.
100%.
To change. So, you know, I mean, this is great talk, and this is what we need. It's what we want.
Thank you for doing this. Thanks for having me on.
Well, you know, I had to have you on. Magic. Another Spartan right here, Magic. So last thing I guess I would say to you is, if you could put out there what would look ideal to you for education-based athletics, which is what you're involved in high school, what would you want? What would you want from your players, first and foremost, and what would you want from the parents, an ideal basketball program?
That's a good question. The first thing that comes to my mind is commitment, the word commitment, and loyalty. I think those are two things that we're missing in high school sports and probably in a lot of programs. It's a commitment to stay and fight it out and be loyal to a school and a program, and know you're not just there for basketball, but you're there for the school and the academic portions as well. And just because things don't go your way and you're not, you know, getting starting time, or you're not getting the playing time that you think you should get, you stick it out, because that teaches you life lessons. And I think that's what comes to mind as far as, you know, what would I want as far as a program. It's just for a school and a program to be committed at all times to staying there and sticking it through, sticking it out, and learning that it's going to help you in life. Because in life, you can't just run from your problems. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you. Yeah. So I think that's something that's changed. You know, you see so many times people transfer over and over. They don't stay. No one's committed anymore, like maybe in the past. So I would like that to come back. Yeah.
No, you're right. Even with travel teams, you know, kids are jumping for the next big thing. Stick it out. Yes. Stick it out. As you stuck it out at Michigan State.
Yeah, 4 years.
Yep. And that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about. So thank you so much for this. This has been exciting. I just really appreciate, you know, your honesty in terms of life's lessons, because we need to hear more of that. We need to hear more of life's lessons versus my son plays on the top travel team in the country, or, you know, hey, we just won the Pee Wee championship and got a $1.75 trophy. I teach him lessons. Yeah. Teach him lessons. All right, big guy.
My man.
6'8".
6'7". 6'6".
Appreciate having you on.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. Got to stop screaming. Need to listen more and keep teaching.
I love it.
You got it, brother. Thank you.